Hello once again, welcome back, unless of course you landed on this video first of all, in which case I would ask, why are you watching the fourth installment of a series without watching the first three? Go check those out first. But maybe you just want to be a rebel, and then either way, we shall continue. So yes, today is part 4 of our Logos for Bible Hub users review. Somewhat a review, somewhat a walkthrough, that sort of thing. This will be a slightly shorter video than the rest have been. We're going to try to keep it contained just on word study tools. I'm going to try to stick with the curriculum, shall we say. In this video, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive just on the word study tools, starting with looking for a given English word, and then we'll move to original language tools. And by that, of course, I mean Hebrew and Greek. Now, you can open the concordance page and search for a word by its Strong's number on Bible Hub, but by far the quickest way to find a word is by searching. So for our example, we're just going to use the word peace. So we will type in peace and search. Okay, now you may already know that in Hebrew the word is shalom, or in Greek it's eirene. But let's assume, for the sake of this exercise, that you don't know the original language words. Okay, so searching for peace. Aren't we all? This brings up the results page right here. So we get a seemingly random and disorganized list of verses. I don't know what method of displaying the list the site uses, unless it's just whatever search result it happens to query out first. But in my opinion, as someone who has developed software, this isn't necessarily coded very well. However, you can remedy this. You can click the sort link right here, and it will order the verses by book of the Bible. So at least there's that. Now, let's say that you want the Hebrew word for peace, okay? So you can click the Hebrew option right there, and it'll switch to showing results from, Hebrew results, I should say, from the Strong's Concordance. Unfortunately, once again, you don't get the details you may probably want from these results. If you're like most people that can't read Hebrew, you now have to scan the word and the details to see whether it's a noun or verb form. You have to click to open it and then go back if it isn't the one you want. If we wanted a Greek word, same thing, right? It's just we would be dealing with Greek, which we could get from here. Okay, so again, eirene, Hebrew. Now it's worth noting that if I wanted to just the typical word for, I should say the typical noun for peace, again, most people would probably understand at least this word is shalom. That's not the top result, right? The top result is actually shalem, not shalom. So it can be a little frustrating, and that's why I said you may have to click into something and then go back if it's not the one you wanted, and so on. Now, I have found an easier way of looking for a specific word starting in the English would be to find a specific passage and then check the interlinear from there. The interlinears are going to be covered in the next video, so I'm not going to go into it right now, but we will continue from the Greek. Clicking the word brings you to the word study tool. So again, we're going to select eirene, Greek word meaning peace. Now again, this I call the word study tool. That's really what it is. I don't know that there's an official Bible Hub name for this page here with this information collected, but I think it's helpful to refer to it as the word study tool. So here we see the word in its lexical form in Greek. We can tell the part of speech. It's a noun, specifically a feminine noun. We see a brief definition provided by Strong's, which is right here, definition as well as usage. Please don't rely on this one, please. I would also largely encourage you to ignore the helps word studies. I found that they tend to promote word studies that perpetuate what's known as the root fallacy. I won't go over that, but if you're interested, you can check out D.A. Carson's exegetical fallacies. He has a good bit to say on that. Anywho, so what we have here is the NAS exhaustive concordance, right? That's the New American Standard exhaustive concordance. And specifically, this section here tells me that in the New American Standard Bible, at least the one this was put together for, which was the 95 edition, the word eirene is translated as peace 91 times. Okay, 91 times this word is translated as peace, and one time it's translated as undisturbed. So scrolling down further gets us to Thayer's Greek Lexicon, right, starting right here, and then this whole entry, 6 entries technically that are pretty exhaustive, not entirely, but pretty good entry for the meaning of this word. This is the place to come for a definition. Not Strong's, not Helps, definitely not Strong's, but you come to the lexicon to get a definition of a word. Now, maybe a little challenging if you can't read Greek, right? I mean, you'll have all these parts here highlighted in orange that you're not really going to know what they say, and so on. So it may be a little bit more challenging, but you can largely ignore those or otherwise just take them and look them up too. That'd be a really good exercise as you start learning more. But either way, don't make the mistake that so many of my, especially Messianic friends, uh, tend to make, which is to take the top definition, right? So this one here, a state of national tranquility, or your favorite definition. So say, the Messiah's peace. That's the one that I like best, right? And then insert that definition into every occurrence of the word. Remember, words have semantic domain. That means they have a range of meaning depending on how they're used. This is true for Hebrew and Greek, just like really any other language. Now, if we scroll to the end down here, we'll see on the right-hand side a list of occurrences of the word question. Now, if we click this, 92 occurrences, we will get a full list here of every passage where this word is found. Now, this is from the Englishman's Concordance, and as you can see, this is a very long list, listed in terms of order of the books of the Bible. So the first entry is for Matthew, the last one for Revelation, right? So it's in order. At least it's sorted this time. And the previews here are offered. This is the text in Greek. This is the translation from the New American Standard. This is the King James. And this one here is from the interlinear, which again is where they try to align every word in order of the Greek. Right, so remember that the interlinears in Bible Hub, which again we'll get into next time, but they're ordered based on the original language. So this would be the Greek order. If it were Hebrew, it would be right to left, but this would still reflect the order of the interlinear, not the order of any English translation or the interlinear's own English translation. Now, in my opinion, this is the best way to check all the occurrences of a given word in Bible Hub. Find the word in question, and then you can go and you can get your passage list here of all the places that word occurs. Now, everything that we just looked at for the Greek, it also applies to the Hebrew. So here we have the Hebrew shalom, if we go back. So here we have the Hebrew shalom, and it works the same way, just with Brown Driver Briggs instead of the Thyers, right? So again, come here for your definitions. Don't go to Strong's, come here. Now you will notice that the Hebrew shalom is translated many, many more different ways in the New American Standard than just peace, right? That's obviously the most common, peace, peace, peaceably, peaceful, peaceful. But in some cases, it's a greeting, right? In some cases, it's a reference to that which is whole or complete. In some cases, it's translated in reference to welfare, right? The well-being of someone. And those are based on here, we can see the different ways that the word is found in different passages. These are not just references to how the word should be translated differently. This isn't just somebody telling you, in these verses, it should be translated like this. This is giving you contextual information, how they get the definition of the word and this particular usage from the context. So you'll notice that there's no helps guide, like no helps word study up here like there was in Greek, because that's only for Greek New Testament words. It's not for Hebrew words. Now, if you know Hebrew and or Greek, even just a little bit, and if you want to search for a word in those languages, you can click the resource drop down and right here and select Strong's. Now here, if you happen to know the Strong's number of a Hebrew or Greek word, you can go directly there. Or you can come down here and do a Hebrew or Greek search based on the transliteration. So again, if I search for shalom, here it is. Now you notice this time, what I searched for is the top result, right? It's not shalem anymore, with shalom being the second. Now this word here, the one that I was originally looking for, is listed highest. The same goes for Greek. Once again, you could search for a transliterated form of the word. Just remember that the transliteration can be a little tricky because some words are just plumb hard to transliterate consistently. So you may have to try a couple different combinations if you're not exactly getting the one that you're looking for. So once again, back over to Logos. We can close all of these. And in Logos, you don't really need a straightforward concordance tool at all. I have used the concordance tool maybe honestly like 3 or 4 times. However, the neat thing about the concordance tool here is that it isn't just a list of English words tied to a given version. Like the New American Standard is an exhaustive concordance tied to the New American Standard Bible, or Strong's, how it's tied to the King James Version. So we can open the concordance tool, and here I've got open a book by Dr. Daniel Juster. It's called Conveying a Heritage. Right, it's a Messianic Jewish book. So here I can create my own concordance. So I want every word in all passages. And what it's done is it's found 7,849 different words in that entire book. And every time a given book is used, it gives me the references. So here, the word day, or alternatively days, because it's the plural form of the same word, here. And here's every occurrence of that word. So I can choose this page, and now it's going to come over here, Conveying a Heritage, a Messianic Jewish Guide to Home Practice, and it opens exactly to that page that I just clicked, right, and day, right? That's actually pretty cool for English searches. You can do it to other resources as well. It just tends to, let me see if I can find one. It just tends to find it tends to take more time if you do it like with the entire Hebrew Bible, but you can. Now notice that this document in particular is one of the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's a Greek Dead Sea Scroll, as you can probably tell this isn't Hebrew, which means it's a Septuagint copy. But here I've built a concordance of that. So not only can I build concordance for any resource in my library, I don't have to use just Strong's or just the New American Standard. I can do it with anything. Now, again, bear in mind, if you do this with a very large document, like if I tried to do this for the Tree of Life version, it would probably need to sit here and process for quite a few seconds because there's so many words in such a large book like a Bible. So just keep that in mind as you're working through this. Now, the more common way, let's go ahead and close these. The more common way that you'll end up searching for a Greek word or a Hebrew word is by using the Bible word study tool. Now, you can search for this in English, which we'll do right here in just a second, or you can search for it in Hebrew or Greek. Just like we did before, I'm going to search for peace. Now, since I searched in English, it doesn't know if I want just Hebrew or just Greek, so it actually gives me both. And here we have both. Now, this right here, these are all version specific, right? So right now, it's giving it to me in the Lexham English Bible. So if I wanted to see this in the New American Standard 2020, I can change my version, and now it's going to give me a breakdown of the words that are translated that relate to peace, right? Now you notice there's multiple different forms of the same Hebrew word. There's actually a different Hebrew word here that's not derived from the same root as shalom. That's this one. But if I click it, I can get just the references. So while there are 272 times in the New American Standard Bible that there's a word that relates to this word group of peace, right? These 4 occurrences all come from this word instead. Now, if I click just the English here, it's going to give me every occurrence in Hebrew where the word peace, or again, that word group peace, peaceful, peaceably, that sort of thing, is going to appear in the New American Standard. Over here, the same thing, still with the Lexham English Bible. If I pick a specific one, like this form here, it's going to give me, there are 4 out of 97 times where this form was translated as part of the peace word group. Now, it does sort them automatically in order of book of the Bible, which is, let's be real, pretty cool. Now, if you want the meaning of a given word, you can come up here, and here we have the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament. We have the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary, but really what we want to get at is not just searching for an English word. You can start with that, but then once you know which word it is that you want, it's really better to go and look at a specific word. So again, we come to shalom right here. I can click this, and now it's giving me the Bible word study entry for just this Hebrew word shalom. This is much more useful. Okay, so first of all, again, the Lexham English Bible. This gives me all the different ways that it was translated, all these different times it appears in different books. It gives me a count. How many times the word shalom appears in Judges and Leviticus. We find it appears a lot in Jeremiah, a lot in Isaiah, not much in Ecclesiastes. Okay, so again, all great information. If I want a further definition for this Hebrew word, I come here and I select halot, which again is the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament. And here it gives me the full breakdown of the definition of the word. If I want more background on the word, maybe some more, theological insights, okay, not just rote definitions, but maybe something a little bit more theologically dense, I can expand this out and I can get a much larger list of available resources. Then I can open the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament. It's going to give me a word on etymology. It's going to give me some related words and cognates in Akkadian and Ugaritic and Phoenician and Aramaic. And again, these are all the different words in the known Semitic languages. They're all cognates. They all relate to the same root that Hebrew shares with those other Semitic languages. So it's kind of a comparative language study, and you can see the different sections here. We can see how it appears in proper names, such as Solomon, right? Shalomo, it appears as part of Solomon's name, how it's used in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Rabbinic Judaism, and so on. This once again demonstrates the power of Logos. Now keep in mind, in order for this to work, you have to actually have these resources. So you can't open this definition in Halot here if you don't own the resource of the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament. You can't check out the fuller definition in TDOT if you don't actually have the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament in your library. So you do have to own these volumes in order to get this additional information. But on the upside, there's no limit to what you can access, unless, of course, your budget or the availability of a resource in Logos is the limit. But realistically, I mean, again, look at all these different ones that I have here, and these are not even all the ones that are available. There are many more different resources available that would provide information in my word study here. Now, there are additional tools here as well. So as we go back past the translation here, which again is just going to tell me how the word shalom is translated in different places across these different Bibles that I have. Here we get to the senses panel, which gives not just a direct translation, but the different senses of the word or how the context uses that word in a sentence, right? So most of the occurrences of shalom refer in general to peace, but a handful of them relate to a greeting, right? A greeting of, I come in peace, right? Shalom Aleichem is the Hebrew way of greeting someone because it announces yourself as coming in peace with someone. A handful of times it appears as completeness, right? Even if it's not translated that way, it's still, so see here in, once again, the Lexham English Bible, it's not translated, or I'm sorry, the New American Standard, it's not translated as completeness. It's translated as peace, but that's the sense of what it means in this passage in its context. So again, this is, I think, one of the most useful things. And I don't remember which package this is available for. I'll have to wrap that back up in the 10th video, but the Bible Sense Lexicon is extremely useful. You will love this for your word studies. I can pretty much guarantee it. So again, scrolling down a little more, we get a little more syntax information. So here's uses of the word where it relates to the subject, where it relates to the direct object of a sentence. Again, that's in English. We can toggle it to Hebrew and see how the word is used. Clause participants, so how it is used in relation to God. Here, God, again, we're talking about God, a person, right, a supernatural being, is referred to as peace. So peace is part of him, right? So Asher, patriarch, go down and see if it is well for your brothers in the flock. So this is the tribe of Asher. This is, of course, Joseph being sent to his brothers to check on their welfare. Right, his brothers went to their fathers, and Israel said to Joseph. So here it's essentially saying, oh, well, because we're looking at grammatical roles in relation to Asher, so go and see if it goes well for your brothers. So his father commissioned him to go and check on the well-being or the peace, right, the well-being of Asher. So that's why you'll see one entry listed for all these patriarchs. It doesn't list every single instance. That would be so many, but there are quite a few, and we can just keep on clicking more, and we'll get more and more and more. Again, this is really cool, especially for some really key words. Um, Again, and even more tools for your word studies that go well above and beyond the functionality you're getting out of Bible Hub. The preposition use is going to show you the different Hebrew prepositions. Selecting one will give you example passages. Not extremely useful if you can't work in the original languages. So the lamed prefix means to or for. So could not speak to him on friendly terms is how it's translated, but literally it means that he could not speak to him for peace. Right? That's kind of how we would do that if we were working on the most literal translation. So you can select a different type of preposition. Again, this is really for working in your Hebrew text. So if you can't, it's not going to be extremely useful for you. So that pretty much wraps up this one. You can also get to the word study tools underneath many popular translations. So again, here I've got open the New American Standard, and if you right-click a word, right here we get all this additional information. Again, all of this is fueled and fed by my Hebrew resources. Here, again, the Bible Sense lexicon says well-being. Well, this says peace, prosperity, success. Well, this is giving me the dictionary entry, the lexical entry. Right? This is telling me, well, this word at its core essentially carries this meaning. But the Bible Sense little alpha symbol here is telling me, well, really in its context here, it's being used to mean well-being. And again, that's why the New American Standard has translated it as welfare. Now again, once I have this open, I can click Bible Word Study and it will take me to this same page here. Now one more thing to note, if we go back to our original word here of peace, if we go down to the Greek words, and let's say that I just want this one, this same, eirene, right, the general word for peace. If I select it, again, it's going to open a specific Greek window. So now we're looking at the Greek word, and here's how it's translated in the Lexham English Bible. Looks like, what is that, one occurrence as safe, and one occurrence as what promotes peace, and every other time as peace in the Lexham English Bible. So that's fun. Same thing, right? So BDAG, this will give me the lexical information, the different meanings of the word, its semantic range, Theological Dictionary of the New Testament. Pretty soon I'm actually going to have some better resources than this one, but this one's still pretty good from time to time. So again, more background information, more semantic information. Here it's actually relating the usage of shalom in the Old Testament and how that relates to the usage of eirene in the New Testament. So again, that's cool. However, even more cool than that, if you like intertextual studies, if you like digging into the Septuagint, is this right here. This right here says for every time that eirene, the Greek word, appears in the LXX, that's the Septuagint, these are the different Hebrew terms it was used in place of. So again, we see, shalom, we see right here batach. This is actually outside the shalom word family and same word group. Most of these, of course, you can see are the same, but these two are actually outside. So this gives me all the different times that this Greek word was translated into a different Hebrew word. And here it's going to give me the actual Septuagint. If I hover over the passage, it'll give me that passage in English. So if you can read Greek, you can go and you can do that right here. If you can't, you can hover over this and it'll bring up the passage in your preferred translation. Now, once again, super useful tool. I love it. But the caveat is you have to have the SWAIT. I don't know how to pronounce that. Henry Barclay's sweet, sweat, sweet, sweet. I don't know. You have to have that and or the Rolf's Septuagint text, Alfred Rolf's Septuagint text. You have to have at least either of those. There are more, I'm pretty sure, but those are the ones that I have. You have to have at least those in order to get this. So in order to get this Septuagint translation little section here. Now to search the original languages for a word, you can do that either in the word study tool, so right here, or by searching in the search box. To use the word study tool, simply type a word in Hebrew. So again, if you know the original languages, you can type shalom, and it will give me all the different ways that's spelled. So again, this is not the same word as this. So of course this is shilum, right, different vowels. This is shalom, completely different words. But if this is the one I wanted, then we come back here to this word. Now if I were to actually go in and type the vowels, which I'm really not good at in my Hebrew keyboard, If I were to go in and type the vowels, it would let me, kind of drill down specifically to this word, not shilum. It wouldn't suggest that. But nevertheless, here we are. Now, let's say that I don't know how to spell shalom in Hebrew. Let's say I don't have a Hebrew keyboard or anything. I know the word is shalom, but I don't know how to type it in Hebrew letters. Well, not to worry. You can type H, colon, and then no spaces. Type the transliteration of the word shalom. And again, we'll have to pick a few uh, different ones here. This is the one that I want, so you may have to search through it just a little bit, but that brings me again to the same window. You can do the same thing with Greek. You just type G instead, followed by the word. So G, colon. I can type nomos and say, hey, I want this one. And so now there's nomos, or law. So it's not a big deal if you can't read the original languages. You can search for transliterations. You can also search, like I said, for English words and then go from the result that it brings up, like we did here, and then pick, okay, actually I want that in Hebrew or I want that in Greek, and then open up the new window over here to drill further down. It's an extra step that learning the original languages would save you, but it is a way to do it without needing to know the original languages. And that pretty much wraps up this video on word study tools. So once again, next time we're going to take a look at interlinears. We're going to look at that in both Bible Hub and Logos. And that will include some word study tools, a little bit more of what we've touched on already. So if you feel like I didn't address everything, stay tuned. I didn't want to lump interlinears in with word study tools because I think they are a tool in and of themselves and often sort of a gateway, or some would say a crutch, to reading the original languages. So as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out links in the description for some recommended resources, discount codes, etc. And shalom.